A couple of the most tragically, hilariously amazing observations you can make in the 21st century. Observation number 1. 90% of the UK citizens are unhappy with their job. 90%! How is this possible? It's the 21st century. 90%, that's almost everyone. Unbelievable. Observation number 2. 40 to 50% of marriages end in divorce in the West. Look at this. Observation number 3. Look at this. Unbelievable. The average adult in the United States spends 10 hours and 36 minutes in front of a screen. 10 hours and 36 minutes in front of a screen. How is this possible? You're not living life. You're 10 hours and 36 minutes in front of a screen. Unbelievable. Observation number 4. In America, you have more than 50% of people that are obese. They are whales. They are walking on this planet as a whale. Just giants, absolute giants. And what is the solution to all of these problems? The solution I can already tell you. For people who don't want to watch the video, the solution is to make videos that nobody watches or people watch. It doesn't even matter. That is the solution to all of these problems. And I realized that this was the solution to all of these problems when I was reading Oscar Wilde's book, The Decay of Lying, an essay, The Decay of Lying. And after reading that, I realized that there are 2 types of people in the world. You have the creators and you have the consumers. Let me give you an example from the book. So, at some point in the world, nobody knows what pessimism is. Nobody has ever heard of pessimism. Pessimism is not a thing. Pessimism doesn't even exist. Nobody writes about pessimism. Nobody is a pessimist. And then Shakespeare comes along, and Shakespeare creates a play in which there is an actor, and that actor happens to be pessimistic. And everybody loves the play, and everybody loves the actor, and everybody sees the possibility of being a pessimist. And so what do these people do? What do these consumers do? These consumers start to imitate pessimism. They start to imitate the actor, and suddenly pessimism is born, and then philosophers come along and they elaborate on this idea of pessimism, and now we have, in the 21st century, we have people that are pessimists. And this is true for everything. Nihilism was not a thing at all. Nobody was a nihilist. And then suddenly philosophers came along, and they created this idea, and then people started to imitate. And this is true for everything in life. All of the philosophies, all of the dress codes, all of the trends, all of the art, all of the movies, all of the personalities, and all of the identity types are all created by creators and then imitated by consumers. The consumer, and this is something that Oscar Wilde realized, the consumer is an NPC, an unplayable character. The consumer is a slave. The consumer is an imitator. The consumer doesn't even exist. The consumer is executing as he is told. The consumer is following the guidelines from the creators. The creators are telling the consumer how to live life. The creators are telling the consumers how to live life. This is a very interesting concept. So if this is true, what does it mean in the 21st century? Who are the people, the imitators, imitating? Who are they imitating? What is there to imitate? Who are the Shakespeares that are creating pessimism that will then be imitated by all the people in the world? Who are these people? Well, they are the loudest people in the world. The people that are screaming the loudest. Who is screaming the loudest? The people with the biggest advertisement budget, because we live in capitalism. And who are those people? Well, those people happen to be, for example, McDonald's, with McDonald's advertisements all over the place. And so what happens when 50% of the world is a consumer only? Of course, there's a spectrum. It's not like 50, but like there's a spectrum. I get the idea of a spectrum. Okay, everybody is somewhere on the spectrum. But 50% is very much all the way on the left. On the consumer side of this spectrum, what happens if 50% is imitator? What happens if 50% is slave? What happens if 50% of people can only replicate? Well, I can tell you what happens because we've seen it. The obesity pandemic is what happens. That's what happens, of course. Everybody is going to massively consume as much as possible. What happens if we replace Shakespeare with McDonald's advertisements and food pictures on Instagram? People will eat as much as possible. That's what happens. Now, this is what I've been thinking about these Americans, because this is predominantly an American phenomenon. So you have these Americans that are the result of brain drain. So these are the best and smartest people in the world. America is the best country. It's the richest country. They have the best weaponry. They are the utmost best in the world, the American dream. And so these apex predators of the apex predators, because human beings are obviously the best in the world among species. And so who are the best human beings? Americans. These Americans are smarter than all the other species in the world, much smarter than lions, much smarter than rabbits. But if you would give the rabbit a choice between a Big Mac and a carrot, the rabbit would absolutely choose the carrot. And so the rabbits are outperforming these apex American species. These apex Americans are being destroyed by rabbits. Rabbits are actually better at transporting food from one location to their mouth than fucking Americans. The amazing Americans, the astonishing Americans, the accomplished Americans, the apex Americans are being beaten by a rabbit. It's more like adorable America. Little funny rabbit America. It's unbelievable. I mean, this is the world that we live in. And so what is happening? How is this possible? How are 90% of the people in the UK hating their job, hating their entire life, basically, because that is your job. It's the majority of your life. How is that possible? How? 2 centuries ago, the UK was conquering everyone. The UK was conquering the entire world. The UK was one of the most powerful nations we've ever seen, traversing the seas and conquering everyone. Everybody was bowing in front of the UK citizens. Oh, thank you, my lord. Thank you, my lord. It's unbelievable. What a powerful nation. And now everybody is hating their job. And why are they hating their jobs? Because they went to universities. And what did they learn in the universities from these loser professors who are just imitating and copy-pasting themselves? Nobody is reading their books. They're actually not having any original ideas themselves. They're just partially slave themselves. So what are they teaching? In those universities, they are teaching people to become a slave, a wage slave. They are teaching people to do as they are told. They are teaching people to execute on what the boss tells them. They are teaching people to hate their lives. And so these people, after they are being taught, they exchange 5 days a week, working a job they hate, to buy things they hate, to impress people they hate, to love the partner they hate, to live the life they hate. All because of the 5 days a week that they hate. This is insane. This is absolutely nuts. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. Going from one of the most powerful countries in the world to a country full of people that hate everything about their lives. And so why is this? What is the solution to this obesity thing? What is the solution to the relationship thing? What is the solution to the whole hating your job thing? What is the solution? It is stop being an imitator. Stop being a consumer. Stop being a non-playable character, as Oscar Wilde explained to us. Stop being that creature and start tapping into the creator mindset, because the creator mindset is constantly training themselves into deciding themselves. That is what creating is all about. You are constantly deciding yourself which color, which sentence, which business, which pathway for your life to take. They're constantly creating. And if you're constantly creating, you become really good at creating. As you become really good at creating, your creations become way better than the billboards. And if your creations are way better than the billboards, you will start imitating your own creations instead of copy-pasting what is on the billboard, aka aiding all of that stuffed McDonald's crap in your mouth. And so that is the solution. It is tapping into that creative source that all human beings inherently have. It is impossible and should be impossible that a human being, an apex human being, is beaten by a rabbit. It is absolutely nuts. And the only way to do that is by tapping into that creative force. Now, in order to make this video complete, we should be talking about the one thing that video has that all the other forms of creation don't actually have. Creating a business, creating paintings, creating music doesn't have this feature, which is why I believe that video creation might be the superior form of creation. But we are not going to talk about this because I already did in a video called Why You Should Become a YouTuber, Artist, or Creative. Link in the description and in the end screen. That said, get the hell out of here.